Hey, Professor Homa here, back for part 2 of exercise 12C, where we're doing the testimonials page. The last thing we did was we put a span in here for this curly quote on here. We have almost everything done. We just want to move it down and maybe give a little more space. And now that we targeted that quote with a span, we can just adjust that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something called position relative. And I have to put that in so it knows how to move things. So it's just relative to where it's at. And what I'm going to do is, after putting position relative, I'm just going to put top, and that means move it from the top. And I'm going to try like 0.5 m, like half an m right now. Remember, 1 m is like 16 points, it's full size, so I'm going to do a half that. It doesn't have to move that much, so we're going to move it down, and let's just take a look and see what it looks like right now, how far it moved down. And that looks pretty good, probably not even that much from the top, so maybe I'll go a little bit less. I want it to be up a little bit, so I'll go back and just move it maybe like 0.3 m would be fine. And I also want a little space to the right of it, so I just want a little padding to the right, which I could just add in. As long as I'm doing that, I'll just add a little padding right, and it's not going to be much. It'll be like a 0.1 m, just a little bit, and that should be all I need. And that should be okay, and that looks pretty good. And I might even make that quote just a little bit bigger. If I want to make the quote a little bit bigger, I have it 4 m. Maybe I'll make it like 5 m. See what that looks like. And that looks nice. And I could even move it down a little more. Now I could maybe move it down to, I might move it down to like, 0.4 m. And that looks pretty good. And now that that looks okay, what I'm going to do is just copy this to all the other elements in my testimonials page. I just have to make sure these all look the same. So I'm going to copy this whole block quote right through. That's why I did all that first to one, and the span. I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it right over the quote on each testimonial. I only have 4 in here, and I'll just paste that in there. And then I'm going to have to put the ending block quote in there. And what I'm going to do, since I have this done, I'm actually just going to copy this whole line, even has a different name, and I'm going to just paste it. And I'll just paste it at the end of each paragraph, because that's where it's going to be. Just paste it at the end of the paragraph, and then just copy or cut. I'll just do a Command X or Control X and cut the name that I am using and paste it over this Lori Bowers one, which is the testimonial. So I'm just going to paste that over there. So I'm just trying to do things as efficient. I'll cut this. As long as that way I reduce errors. Cut this one, the Megan one. I'll just cut it and paste that over again. So now I have all the names in here. They're all in italic. They all have the break after them, and I have all the block quotes are here at the end as well, because that got copied and pasted with it. And then I also have this, and I might put almost 2 breaks here. I might put a little an extra line break in there, and that top should, although it's showing a P here, so let me put a P in front of it instead of one of these breaks here, because I'm seeing red. So I'll just put an opening P tag here. So it's just like a paragraph down there, and I'll just save it, and I'll refresh it, and that's the way it should look. And here's my top link, and it jumps to the top because I already have that anchor set at the top. So this looks good. That wasn't that hard. I mean, I could do more. I could put space between here, or make another class for the names or anything like that, or move them over. I just put them in italic. I didn't move them over, but that's something else I could do too if I wanted to. I could do another span and do that and give it a name and just call it span name, and then give it like a padding left and move it over if I wanted to. But just for you could do that, but for the sake of now, all I want to do is just make sure it's responsive, and right now it's not. You can see that it's not, because I have to just update those names. Now, one thing I'll mention here is when you do this, I had a little issue with it, because I think in the other video in the CSS I mentioned that you can just go in here and just put comma meet, but I had a problem when I did it. It wasn't recognizing it, and I think that is because it looks for article meet up here, and then if it doesn't see article meet, because I'm using that first name kind of sequence. So what I needed to do, you could still use the commas here, but I'm going to put article in front of this, and then also I'm going to do a comma, and I'm going to do article # test. And that's all I should need. I can still use these commas, but I tried doing it without the article in here, and it didn't recognize these, and I'm guessing because it's looking for the full name up there, that when it comes down here in the media query, or here's the 870 media query, it's not seeing it as the same thing. So you should be consistent from what you do in the, you know, up top in your main styles down to the one in your media query. So that's all I have to do here. And then also I could just copy these 3 things again, or copy one of them, and I'm going to put them down here in my 520 media query right here. I'll just paste over, and you can see I had just meet before, and I thought it had worked, but then when I tried it again here, it didn't work. So make sure that you put, if you're using your first name, just keep that in there. You could still use the commas, and I'm going to just save this and see what it looks like. And there I have, I'll refresh this, and I somehow lost my thing turned white again, so I have to check that out. I'll move this over, and yeah, I lost that top again, so I have to check that out of why I lost the top. But everything else looks okay. I'm not worried about the top. And again, I have different copies of sites that I'm working on here, so sometimes I forget to update things from one recording to the next. So I just have to make sure that my top is okay. Okay, and one thing that I found here, here's the link for the top that I use on article meet, and I don't have one for article test, so I'm going to copy that and make sure that I put it here at the end of my article, or I guess I could put it here after the H1. That would be more consistent. So I'll put it there and make sure I change this name to test, because now it's using the link that's inside that article, and that should be using the color. So now if I update that, I should see it. Here's my testimonials, and now I'm seeing top, and it works. So that's okay. So I just needed to update that as well. So I just needed to update the 2, add this to my 2 media queries so that they float properly, or they remove the floats. And then I also just had to add one more article test. One more thing is just the link inside the paragraph. Now, if I didn't put that in a paragraph, it may not find it. Although if I didn't have a P, it would just look for any link inside article test. But that puts it in that color, and it covers all kinds of visited colors for that. So that should be okay. So I think I'm okay with testimonials. So everything seems to be working here, and the links work. There's home, there's meet the team, and there's testimonials. So that's working, and it's jumping to the top. So everything's okay. So we just used a block quote in here. We used a special span to make those curly quotes look nice, and that's it. So we're done with this, and we'll see how much more we can get to. But we already have 3 pages on our site, so we're doing okay.